Hi there, it's Hashtime with Nabgozi Chwanka, a forum where you and I have conversations on unraveling social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, and a lot more about the millennial world around us. If you're not hearing this voice for the first time, welcome back to today's episode. To you who is hearing my voice for the first time, I welcome you to this podcast. So today's episode is not any different from the earlier ones. We shall still be talking about something society has chosen to be silent about, and that's none other than guess what? Suicide. Suicide in our society is still looked at as a taboo. You are rebuked when you say anything related to it. As soon as the word suicide comes out of your mouth, society rebukes you to God forbid, to fear, all those kinds of things. Tradition and religion vaguely claim to protect us from suicide by dictating that it's a curse to talk about it. Has any of the sex helped? Not at all. World Health Organization statistics show that in a year, every 40 seconds, 800,000 people die due to suicide. And for every adult who dies by suicide, there may have been more than 20 others attempting suicide. In this episode and the upcoming this episode is episode 9, then also episode 10, I'm going to have a community psychologist with us. Yes, she gave us her time. Hazel Muriro. This name is hard for me to pronounce, the Chichiga way, but we shall go with the way how I pronounce it. She will be answering the various concerns and frequently asked questions on suicide. Listen in. Amazing, bubbly. What else can I use to describe Beautiful.
Intelligent.
We have Hazel Muriro. Have I pronounced it right?
Yeah.
So Hazel, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah. So, like Anne-Marie said, I'm amazing. And my name is Hazel Muriro.
Mm-hmm.
I am a community psychologist. I'm the team leader, Mindful Conversations, Mentally Aware Uganda on our socials.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm amazing.
What did you want to be while growing up?
I wanted to be, I didn't know that I wanted to be a psychologist, but that's what I wanted to be. So growing up, when we'd watch movies, we used to see psychiatrists in the movies, especially American films. And the psychiatrist would be seated like on a chair across from someone who is not well. Mm-hmm. And then they would give them these cards and ask them, what do you see? And it was so fascinating to me. And I'll be like, what are these bazungu doing? What's happening? What are they talking about? And I would ask my mom. And my mom would try her best to explain to me as a child that these are people who help people who are not well. And unfortunately, there was a schizophrenic lady. Schizophrenia is the ones who we call mad, quote unquote.
Oh.
So there was a schizophrenic lady near our house who her family had failed to help her. Yeah. So my mom told me, these are the people who help that lady. Oh. So then I was like, oh wait, there are people who can help this lady. So that was always fascinating to me. So I then had to grow up and do a bit more research. Then I realized I don't necessarily want to go into psychiatry. I went to School of Psychology and here we are.
It's quite interesting. I mean, for me, I went through a couple of things I wanted to be. At 7, I wanted to be a nun. And then somewhere,
Anne-Marie, I think your name by the way can work.
Tell us about these. Are they? I sometimes get confused. Are they 2 or are they 2 in 1? Mindful Conversations, Mentally Aware Uganda.
Okay, so we are Mindful Conversations because we need to have a conversation first on mental health, and mental wellness in Uganda. And the other name and the @ for the socials, the handle for the socials, Mentally Aware UG, is basically born from the fact that we are not mentally aware in the first place in order to have the conversation. And we are working towards a mentally aware and healthy Uganda. So it's mindful conversations, but we also go by Mentally Aware UG.
What do you really do with the mentally aware and the mindful conversations?
So mindful conversations is basically a platform where we disseminate correct information on mental health, mental illness in Uganda. We provide free psychosocial support. We help pay for people's therapy, and we pair them with a vetted mental health professional. A psychologist, a therapist. We help pair them with someone who is vetted so that they continue onto their healing journey successfully without any bumps on the road.
How do you identify these people? Can they come to you?
Oh, yes.
Can they just approach you?
Yes.
Through your social media handles?
So anyone can approach us through our social media on Twitter and Instagram. For now, we are at Mentally Aware Uganda.
That's Twitter?
Both Instagram and Twitter.
Instagram and Twitter, not Facebook.
We are coming.
We have some oldies.
Facebook, we are coming. They can reach out to us, call me personally on my number. And also, I try my best when I'm on the account, when I'm logged in, is to always kind of enter keywords into the search bar, like help, or I'm not okay, or I'm struggling, and maybe identify some people and reach out.
Can you read us your phone number?
My phone number.
For the listeners.
I have 2 numbers.
That we'll need.
Mobile money number. 077. 7 832731. It's MTN. It's on mobile money. Then I have an AfriCell number. That is, you can reach me through WhatsApp because some people find it better, and it's also the one on Telegram. We prioritize, of course, confidentiality and the comfortability of patients. Some patients are really worried, maybe that what if someone overhears, or what if someone gets a hold of their phone? So whatever app someone is flexible with, I can get on their Zoom, Telegram, so that you're comfortable as possible. So that is 0794 307594. I try to be available at least 12 hours in the day.
12 hours in the day.
8 to 12 hours.
So even for your personal accounts, away from Mentally Aware UG on Instagram and Twitter, now are you active on Facebook personally?
So personally, unfortunately I'm not active on Facebook. I do have one, but I'm not really active there. So I think that's maybe one platform that has not resonated with me. And unfortunately, we don't have like a big team in order for us to delegate that to someone. I'm the one who handles the social media. And on top of doing the other work, providing psychosocial support. So for now, we have Twitter and Instagram, and I'm active on my personal accounts. So if someone reaches out to me personally, I can also be of help.
Right. So today we are going to be talking about suicide prevention mostly, and how to handle everything around the sensitive subject, especially this month being the Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. We need to have something talked about. We need to help the people going through crisis and they're not aware about what to do. They feel weird. From a psychologist's point of view, can you help us define suicide?
So simply, suicide is ending your own life. Suicide is intentional. It's sometimes premeditated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So suicide is basically someone wanting to put an end to their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think I should talk a bit about suicide attempts, because that's also a common.
I think it's more common.
Yeah, it's something more common that we hear. The attempted suicide.
Yeah.
So a suicide attempt means someone tried to end their life, but they did not succeed. They did not die, and they're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it possible to predict suicide?
It's possible, but not reliably. It's complex and difficult. Yeah. It's not an exact.
It doesn't have
a formula, that we can just say, oh, this person is suicidal, so let's help them.
What are the most common methods of suicide? What are the things that people usually use to go through with their suicidal thoughts and feel like they're actually successful? What are the things that they usually use?
Okay, so for this, I'm not going to answer.
You know? Oh, yeah. Okay.
There are many ways that people choose to end their lives. I just choose not to speak about them. Yeah, I think it's healthier for us not to sit here and actually give people ideas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are very many ways, and unfortunately, when someone is sick and they're in this state of mind, they're very creative.
Oh yeah.
They will come up with a way.
Anything can work for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been seeing the border men who've been setting themselves on fire. Very
and that is a little, I don't know, should I say it's a little bit new? I mean, we've heard about people burning themselves, but now this is becoming recurrent.
Yeah.
Okay, and do we have warning signs? Are there signs that, let me say we have a community, we're sitting here, maybe we're workmates, or we're in a family setting. Are there particular signs that we can look out for in the groups that we are in?
Okay, so yeah, there are some warning signs that can help us identify if someone is, having suicidal thoughts, or if they may attempt death by suicide.
Yeah.
So some signs are more obvious than others. Yeah. I'll maybe state a few obvious signs.
Yeah.
However, these signs are not like, they're not like spot on that if someone is going through this, then they may be suicidal.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd like to stress that people are different, people cope differently, people react differently. So some of the more obvious signs are, I think, all lying under change in behavior. Is if we identify a significant change in behavior of a loved one or a colleague or a friend or someone that we know or we are familiar with. So I know change can be good and bad, but more negative changes. For instance, like social withdrawal and isolation. So like how you said, if me, a bubbly person who always has stories to tell, if all of a sudden I no longer have stories to tell and I'm withdrawn, and maybe the things I talk about are less positive, and now I'm always talking about, oh, I'm tired, or I feel empty, I'm hopeless, I'm tired of life, then you can worry a bit.
Okay.
Then there are other factors, for instance, terminal or chronic illness.
Okay.
Yeah. So when some stressful life situations come about, especially with regards to health, people may consider death by suicide
because they're tired of the pain.
Yeah. So for instance, the most common one we are familiar with is cancer.
Yeah.
People feel like cancer is just a useless fight, it's a useless battle. Someone may not have the willingness to fight the disease. And then also, well, for now we see an improvement with regards to HIV and AIDS. People are aware that if they take medication, they can continue to live a long and healthy life. But unfortunately, some people still don't have the strength, and in the past it was even worse. So terminal and chronic illness is kind of like a warning sign. When if you know someone in your life is like diagnosed with that, it's important to be there for them, be a support system, and keep an eye out, because they may be considering it.
Yeah.
It's not
a guarantee that they consider it
but
immediately.
the thought may cross their mind. Then also sudden stressful situations, because stress is not something we can eliminate in our lives 100%. But there are sudden stressful situations that can arise that overwhelm people. For instance, the coronavirus, the pandemic we're in right now, it overwhelmed very many people, unfortunately, especially financially, and for others emotionally, mentally, because people were locked down with abusive partners or abusive, parents and siblings. People lost their jobs, their livelihoods, they're struggling. So again, like how we talked about the bordermen who set themselves on fire, the situation
taking away their borders,
because that's his livelihood, that's his identity. So sudden stressful situations can be a warning sign. In times like these, it's important for us to kind of check in on our loved ones, check in on the strong friend, the one who is always checking in on others, check in on her or him.
So there is this statement that I read while reading about this subject. Thinking about suicide does not mean you will do it. It is often a sign that you want to escape. Would you please break it down for us?
So the statement, like you said, thinking about suicide doesn't mean you will do it. It's often a sign that you want to escape. I would agree with this. Many people, I dare say most people, the thought has come across their mind. Because like I said, stress can never be completely eliminated in life. We just have to learn how to cope with it. So when you consider various factors like someone's background, their current lifestyle and all this, and also maybe how someone was raised, someone may not be equipped with healthy or the right ways to cope with a certain stressful situation or event, and the thought the thought may cross their mind. I don't want to say it's human nature, but I don't want us to eliminate the fact that this thought crosses people's minds. So, and suicide is usually people think of it as an escape, because they assume if I die by suicide, then I'm resting, So with regards to why people attempt suicide, I maybe just want to kind of point out that there is no one answer that, the cause of suicide is this, death by suicide is this. So death by suicide usually is associated with mental illness, most commonly clinical depression. People who are clinically depressed have a high sense of like feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness as compared to the average person, or as compared to someone who is depressed. When you're clinically depressed, the feelings are way more intensified. So that's maybe the most common cause. When someone is clinically depressed, they will consider death by suicide. They will actually attempt it even, and hopefully they will not be successful.
And then when you look at the statistics, it shows that I've seen a couple of statistics, and they show that more men die by suicide than the women. And now that brings us a question of, why do men complete suicide more often than the women?
So men, I think, are more successful in suicide attempts and in dying. Successful sounds but right. But like men die by suicide more than women, mostly because of the society that we live in. The society we live in holds men to this ridiculous standard that they are like supernatural and super strong, and they're just untouchable, and they fear nothing, and cowering is unmanly. So because of that,
it takes away your manlyhood.
Yeah, because of that, a man is less likely to reach out for help. He's less likely to, when he meets up with the boys and it's Man U versus Liverpool, to in that moment to say, can we talk?
Yeah.
Can we talk? And then tell him, I'm struggling. It's less likely because he has to put up a front. He's a man. He's strong.
Yeah.
Let them shout at whatever football player that night and drink and go home,
go home and cry.
Yeah. And cry. It's even possible some men don't cry by themselves because they're battling. They have to assure themselves even if they're all alone. So unfortunately that's down to like culture and the society we're in, that it conditions boys and men to feel like they can't cry.
They're not supposed to have emotion.
And they're not supposed to have a hard time. And then they don't grow up expressing themselves, so they wouldn't even know how to express themselves in the first place and say, I'm struggling, or what language to use to express that he's having a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read something about a year ago, I'm not so sure, whereby they were talking about how even babies are raised. A child, maybe a girl child, is going to fall, and the mom is going to go, buju buju, boo boo, sorry, and then when it's a male child who falls, like, be strong.
Yeah.
You're a man does not cry. And this is just a child. Let the child be allowed to say, I'm in pain.
Yeah, to be vulnerable.
But then imagine from 3 years old, this person is hearing, be a man.
Yeah. They're like, boys don't cry.
It's
only girls who cry. Yeah.
Be strong. Tell yourself, I'm a man. I'm a man. And you're in pain. Yeah. And now this just goes into our adulthood, and then we don't know how to do things.
Exactly. So I think also another thing we talk about, I know people usually talk about gender and like a certain mental health issue, but I think it's important to kind of talk about ethnicity and background and tribe, like all those together, because I know Uganda is a mesh of people. Some people are like half this, quarter this, so I think it's important to also address that, because as much as suicide, a man may his suicide attempt may be quote unquote successful, I think also ethnicity, tribe, background plays a factor. And that's one thing we should always talk about with regards to mental health issues and even physical health.
Yeah.
When it comes to those issues, we should address that because they're important. They play a role.
Yeah.
If someone comes from, well, I know some of these are stereotypes, but they do apply. People who come from, let's say, ethnicities that are more outspoken, and they're more likely to mention it, like to speak up or speak out, or to tell someone, like, I'm stressed, I'm going through this, I don't want these things to disturb me. But people who come from maybe, say, a more ethnicity where it's you're not supposed to let people maybe see your suffering. They will hide it and pretend and things build up. So I feel like that's something we kind of never address. We focus on the gender, but there are other factors that affect our mental health that we can't help. And even us as mental health professionals, we have to consider that approach when we are helping someone to better understand people.
Okay. So initially, when we're talking about the warnings of suicide, you talked about someone who is in their depressive times is more susceptible to
death by suicide.
Yes, death by suicide. What are who is the other person who is at risk of suicide?
Okay, so people who've had past attempts, of course, I forgot to mention that. But if someone has attempted before, they are, we need to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
I also want to stress that just because someone attempted before, we shouldn't now, like, that shouldn't be their identity. We shouldn't cast this shadow over them. That one attempted suicide.
Do not annoy that one.
She will. Yeah. And then being exposed to someone else's suicide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. being exposed to someone else's suicide, because again, like how we've talked about the border men, these gentlemen who set themselves on fire.
Yeah.
It's not one, it's not two. I think there are three, right?
Has it come to the third?
I think so.
Yeah, I only heard about the second one.
Yeah, but still, even if there's just two of them, the second one was exposed to the first one.
Yeah.
He felt like the first gentleman, what he was going through in the moment was like, they're similar.
Yeah.
They're both border men and riders.
They're
both looking for this money in Kampala.
Their borders have been confiscated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, the other guy set himself on fire.
And he ended
I'm tired. So in the moment, during that time,
yeah,
in his rationalization, he was like, I'm tired. He also set himself on fire.
Yeah. And now you've talked about the mental health problems or disorders that may trigger someone to consider suicide. Is there a way someone can realize, because there's a chance that someone has a mental health disorder but they do not know?
Yeah.
Is there a way how they can look out for signs, more like self-assessment? You might go and see a doctor, but before that, what has led you to consider the doctor? Are there signs that someone can look out for in themselves or maybe a loved one?
So I think that's why, like I said to you, Mindful Conversations is working towards a mentally aware and healthy Uganda. If we are not aware, we can't work towards health and happiness. So unfortunately, we are not mentally aware. So many people are living with a disorder, treatable disorder. But they don't know. And how can they begin to? And so often it's just brought down to your stress. Nina stress. But it's not that simple. So with regards to us identifying people who have mental disorders, there is no, I can't say that, oh, if you're like this and like this and like this, you have this. No, it's not that simple. You need a mental health professional, someone who is skilled and experienced, and to kind of give that diagnosis. Because I could be here and tell you, or you could do a quick Google search and read what are the signs of bipolar disorder, and it will show you that you are manic depressed, you are this and that and this, you know.
Google search is not a healthy place.
Exactly. So I think we just have to work towards a mentally aware Uganda, where people better understand themselves and understand that the brain, like any organ in the body, can get sick. And some of these are not necessarily mental disorders. It's just you're just mentally unwell. You're struggling right now. The way we get flu and you can continue to function in your daily life, like the flu is not that bad. You're taking your cold cups while also still going to work, drinking plenty of fluids. Sometimes even our mind is like that. You're just unwell. So maybe you need to go see a mental health professional. You need a bit of psychosocial support. You know, you pick up some few coping skills and continue on. If you struggle again, then you go back, you see the mental health professional. You listen to the advice that they give. You follow the treatment plan. So sometimes, there's no one answer that I can give you for people to say, I have the warning signs of suicide, so I must go and see a therapist. I feel
as long as you feel unwell.
If you feel unwell. I love to relate so many of like mental health and mental health issues with physical illness and physical health. Because one thing I love about us being Ugandans, like, which is a bad thing because we really struggled with malaria, cholera, HIV. We are very, very aware about our physical health and our bodies. When someone starts to feel feverish, when someone sneezes,
I might have malaria.
Pharmacy. You even know exactly how to explain. Then the pharmacist also, both from the professional knowledge and even the knowledge of being a Ugandan, will say, Kamile for 2 days. So we are so good at identifying when our bodies are not okay, but we are struggling with our mental health. But I would just love to encourage people, whenever you feel like your stress that we talk about, I'm stressed, don't stress me. sometimes it's not just stress,
Yeah.
Just take some time to kind of evaluate, what it is exactly you're feeling. Try and think about where this came from.
Yeah.
Why is it persisting? The same way that we know, let me go and get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same way we need to look out for our minds and brains.
Exactly.
Then you have reached the end of part 1 of suicide prevention episode on #Wenabugozichwanuka. And if you have found value in this episode, please help me help someone. Share this information, share the link through which you've listened to this podcast to, whether it's on iTunes or Castbox or Anchor, whatever platform you have used to listen to this podcast. Please share this episode. You just never know whom you're going to help. We're here for each other. We have to hold each other's hands. And with this episode, with this podcast, with this audio, when you share it with someone, you're holding that person's hand. You're telling them that they're not alone. In the next episode, that is episode 10, we shall still be having the community psychologist Hazel Muriro, and she will be answering more frequently asked questions on suicide. I look forward to engaging more with you. Ciao.